There's a moment that happens at every bird feeder in every yard all the time. You've seen it. You've probably never noticed it. You're watching the feeder. The chickadees are arguing over sunflower seeds. Below them, a junco picks through the grass. A house finch drops onto the rim of the tray. Everything is moving. Everything is noisy. Then, in a single instant, all of them stop. Not one bird, not two, every bird in your yard across multiple species frozen in the exact posture they held a second earlier. The chickadee mid-grip on the perch, the junco mid-hop, the finch with seeds still in its beak. No movement, no call, nothing. For about 3 seconds, your yard becomes a photograph. Then it resumes, or every bird is gone, and you go back to whatever you were doing. You've witnessed this hundreds of times. You've probably never asked what it was. This happens in backyards across North America thousands of times a day. It happens in city parks and on suburban lawns, in forests and agricultural fields, anywhere there's a cluster of small birds and a predator capable of hunting them. Multiple species coordinated to within a fraction of a second, freezing on the same cue. The cue is a sound. You almost never hear it. It's pitched high, around 7,000 hertz, sitting at the edge of what an adult human ear picks up cleanly, and it's structured deliberately so that you can't tell where it's coming from. Neither can the predator, but every small bird within earshot understands exactly what it means and what to do about it. I'm building this channel around the small, everyday behaviors birds have been performing in front of you your entire life. If that's the kind of thing you want to keep noticing, subscribe before you watch the rest of this, because the next 3 minutes will change what you see the next time you walk past a feeder. Mechanism. 1. The seat. 1:30. The call is called a seat. Ornithologists have studied it since the 1950s, when Peter Marler, then at Cambridge, published the first careful acoustic analysis of bird alarm vocalizations. Marler noticed something specific about the structure of these high-pitched calls. A normal bird song has a sharp beginning and end. The notes are punchy. They have clear onsets that bounce off surfaces and let you locate the singer. That's the point of a song. Find me, find my territory, find a mate. The seat is the opposite. It begins gradually, it fades gradually. It sits in a narrow frequency band with no sharp edges. To a predator scanning for prey by ear, the seat is acoustic camouflage. It carries information without revealing the position of the bird making it. When a small songbird spots a hawk overhead, the seat is what comes out. The accipiters trigger it most often. Sharp-shinned hawks, Cooper's hawks, the fast aerial hunters that specialize in songbird prey. The call tells every bird within range 2 things. There is an aerial predator. Stop moving. Almost every species of songbird in North America makes a version of this call. Almost every species of songbird in Europe makes a nearly identical version. They evolved separately on different continents and different ecosystems. The acoustic structure converged anyway because the physics of being undetectable to a hunting hawk has only one solution. The stranger part is that birds don't only respond to their own species. A black-capped chickadee will freeze for the seat of a white-breasted nuthatch. A junco will freeze for the seat of a tufted titmouse. A house finch will freeze for the seat of a downy woodpecker. The freeze you witnessed in your yard wasn't one species responding to itself. It was a cross-species alarm network, with every bird interpreting every other bird's signals in real time. Robert McGrath, a behavioral ecologist at the Australian National University, has spent years documenting how this works in the field. His group studies superb fairy wrens, small Australian songbirds that not only respond to the alarm calls of other species, they learn them. A young fairy wren that grows up around a species it has never encountered in evolutionary history can learn to recognize that species' alarm call within days, just by hearing it paired with actual threats. The birds at your feeder are not operating as individual animals, they're operating as nodes in a shared sensory network. The chickadee on the suet feeder is paying attention to what the sparrows on the ground are doing. The sparrows are paying attention to the nuthatch on the trunk. The nuthatch is paying attention to the robin on the lawn. Each bird extends its own perception by tapping into the perception of every other bird. When the seat goes out, it doesn't matter which bird made it. The information propagates instantly, and every bird in the network acts on it. The freeze response has a specific logic. So does the 3-second duration. Hawks that hunt small birds, the accipiters in particular, hunt almost entirely by detecting motion. A Cooper's hawk flying over a cluster of feeders is scanning a chaotic visual field, and branches moving in the wind, leaves twitching, light shifting through the canopy. The hawk's visual system is built to filter that out and lock onto the one thing in the scene that is moving the way prey moves. A bird that stops moving disappears. It's still physically there, often in plain view, but the hawk's brain is doing the work of separating signal from noise, and a stationary bird against a busy background reads as background. The hawk's eye keeps scanning. By the time it has consciously registered the cluster of feeders, the moment of opportunity is done. 3 seconds is roughly how long that window is. It's about the time it takes a hunting hawk to pass over a yard at typical flight speed, decide whether anything is worth committing to, and either stoop or continue past. Hold position for 3 seconds and the hawk is already past, looking somewhere else. If you've made it this far and you're already thinking about your own yard differently, that's the point of this channel. Drop a comment telling me whether you've seen this freeze happen before now and whether you knew what it was. I read all of them. The network at your feeder runs deeper than most people realize. In 2005, a study published in the journal Science by Christopher Templeton, Eric Green, and Kate Davis at the University of Montana documented something that changed how ornithologists think about chickadee communication. The chickadee has 2 main alarm calls: the seat for hawks in the air, which you've just learned about, and the familiar chickadee-dee-dee call, which is used for stationary predators that the bird wants to mob and harass. Templeton's group recorded chickadee alarm calls in response to 14 different predators, ranging in size from tiny pygmy owls to large great horned owls. The chickadees were not making a generic alarm call. They were encoding the size and threat level of the predator into the number of D notes at the end of the call. A small, agile predator that could actually catch a chickadee, like a pygmy owl or a sharp-shinned hawk, got more Ds, sometimes 8, 10, 12 Ds strung onto a single call. A large predator that posed essentially no threat to an agile chickadee, like a great horned owl or a red-tailed hawk, got fewer, sometimes 2 or 3. The chickadees were quantifying danger, and other species understood the code. Red-breasted nuthatches, which often forage in mixed flocks with chickadees, respond more strongly to chickadee alarm calls with more Ds. They mob harder. They stay vigilant longer. A nuthatch that has never seen the predator the chickadee is calling about is using the chickadee's call to assess how dangerous the situation is and calibrating its response accordingly. The bird at your feeder is not just signaling that a predator is present, it is broadcasting an evaluation. The kind of predator, how much of a threat, how concerned the rest of the network should be. Other birds are receiving that evaluation and acting on the specific information inside it. So the next time you're outside and every bird in your yard goes still, at the same instant you'll know what just happened. A bird somewhere nearby spotted a hawk. It produced a sound you couldn't hear or couldn't locate. That sound traveled through a network of dozens of birds across half a dozen species, every one of them paying attention to every other one in a way you probably don't pay attention to your own neighbors. Each of them stopped moving in the same fraction of a second. Each held position for the few seconds it takes a hunting hawk to lose interest. Then they resumed. Your yard isn't quiet, it's running a surveillance protocol. Every bird in it is both a watcher and a thing being watched. The freeze is the visible surface of a system that has been operating around you every day for your entire life. Tell me in the comments what bird you see most often in your yard and whether you've ever caught it doing the freeze. Was it one bird or all of them at once? Did you spot the hawk? I want to hear about it. Subscribe if you haven't, because the next video is about something you've definitely heard 1,000 times but never identified. And once you know what it is, you won't be able to stop hearing it. See you there.